Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Today's Tuesday, the 14th of June, um, and I am at the Punch Bowl Shelter here in Virginia. Um, and let's see, um, ended up staying here last night. A lot of bugs. We got a um, a fire going, so we could kind of chase some of them away. In the end, we ended up with probably I think 3 or 4 people down the shelter, about 10 tents, 14 hammocks up here. So it got quite crowded here last night, which is okay. More people, hopefully the more the bears will be inclined not to come bother us. So had a good time last night. Met a really nice family. Their the mother and father are out here hiking with their daughter for a week, and kind of got her trail name last night. Finally, this monarch decided to liked her pack and liked her, and so the monarch chose her. So we started calling her Monarch, and I think she likes it. We'll see if it sticks or not. But at least it felt like it was something that was choosing her. Um, Gary, who's one of the subscribers on YouTube that recognized me and spent the night here. He mentioned that he was down at um, Glasgow and at the shelter down there, and a retired sheriff came in, who's also a subscriber looking to find me, but he'd missed me by a day. So anyway, so I'll shout out to him and thank him for his interest in watching these and watching my adventure here. So all right, today's objective is to get to the next shelter, which is a 9.5. That's going to pre-position me to be able to go in the morning into Buena Vista to do a resupply. This is something I'm doing different. Instead of trying to, take 8 days of the food to get to Waynesboro out of Glasgow, I decided, well, I got a place I can resupply in a couple of days. Let's just take a couple of days of food, see if I can keep my pack weight down, and even though it's a little bit more of a hassle. So last night I could have done and was thinking about going down to another campsite at about another 4.5. Had enough light to do it, but I don't know. You got to take care of your feet. They're the ones that's what's going to get me to Katahdin. And I just kept stubbing my toe yesterday on my left foot. For some reason, the left foot kept dragging a little bit, kept catching things. So anyway, we'll get hiking and get down here. It's like Brown Mountain, I think, is the name of the shelter. Lower elevation, so it's gonna be a little bit hotter. Actually, the temperature was kind of perfect last night for sleeping here. So up about 2,200 feet. So all right, let's go hike. See you later. Bye. One of the reviewers made a comment, one of the subscribers rather, on YouTube that, I talk about water management like a pilot talks about fuel management. And I guess that's pretty true. You can take me out of the cockpit, but you can't take the pilot out of me, I guess, So if I talk about water too much, sorry about that. But it did remind me of another story. I told you about my Minot flying experience and managing fuel and running a computer. And I remember I was over in England and flying twin engine Hueys. Excuse me, I was stationed in Germany, but we'd gone to England to an air show, and it was an upgrade ride on a potential new aircraft commander. And on the way back, we at the air show, we weren't allowed to fill up our tanks to 100% because they're afraid with the heat that we'd have fuel expansion and we'd be spilling JP4 or JP8 all over the ground at the air show. And so they only would let us have about an 80% fuel load. And so with that 80%, we got ready to leave. One of the extra co-pilots and the potential aircraft commander upgrade, they decided they want to go see Stonehenge. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, we'll go see Stonehenge. Can we get across the English Channel to our next fuel stop? Because we we left with only an 80% fuel load. So I'm thinking this will be a good decision making process for him to see if he can manage his aircraft. And of course we took off. We went to Stonehenge and started heading towards the English Channel. And we had some winds. It's always the winds that do it. And we had this headwind. And you know, I keep asking him, we gonna have enough fuel to get there? Pretty soon, oh yeah, no problem. Pretty soon I get out my little flight computer and I start turning the dials, trying to guess, because we didn't have any GPS or anything, so there's no way to know exactly what the ground speed is. But you get pretty good after a while of eyeballing about how fast you think you're going. And I'm running the numbers, going, we're gonna run out of fuel about 3/4 the way across the English Channel. And pretty soon we overfly the very last fuel place stop that we could get gas. And finally I'm like, okay, I've got the controls. We're turning around. We're going to go back and get gas. And so I hooked him on his ride, and we landed and got gas and went home. And of course, a month later when it came time for his check ride, we of course set a scenario up where he'd be really close on gas in his mission, so he'd have to show us that he could then manage the gas ride. And he went and passed his check ride and everything. And then 2 months later, I get a phone call in the middle of the night that this particular aircraft commander had landed in a field short of an Air Force base because he ran out of gas. And of course I was like, I can't believe it. He never learned his lesson. Well, then I had to, then when I found out the rest of the story, there had been a F-16 where the guy had a flame out and he bailed out and crashed, and he was out there supporting an accident scene. And we had these hurricane force winds come up in Germany. Matter of fact, that particular storm felled like 2 years worth of forest production, so they had to scramble to get all that lumber harvested before the beetles got it. And but he left the accident scene 15 miles from the Air Force base with an hour's worth of gas, and he had to land in a field 7 miles short of the Air Force base out of gas because the winds at altitude were basically at his max speed in the aircraft, which Huey 110 is about as fast as you can do. He was basically just hovering on the approach path to the runway because the headwinds were greater than what he could fly forward. And so he ended up running out of gas. So at least this time he landed the aircraft instead of flaming out. So we cut him a break. But who knows? Maybe if he hadn't had those two experiences where he had to hook a ride and for mismanagement of fuel, and then he had a rigorous check ride to make sure he could manage fuel. Who knows? Maybe he would have flamed out and crashed the aircraft. So hopefully we did a good thing in teaching him. So anyway, it's just a story I wanted to share with you. But yeah, I guess I do manage resources that way a lot. And this particular leg, I'm going into Buena Vista because I only purposely took 2 days worth of food, or about 2 days worth of food. I had 1 day, so I have 3 days. And because I wanted to have a lighter pack weight and see does it throw me off on my time. But then again, I've got all the time in the world to get this done, so I might as well enjoy myself and not kill myself. I think the next leg anyway, because the next resupply is Waynesboro, so I've got to go across the Priest and Three Ridges. And so I definitely didn't want to have a whole lot of weight to do that with. So of course, I guess technically it's the same amount of weight once I leave the Buena Vista area that I would have had. Otherwise, I just left Glasgow with a lot less weight, which I've actually kind of enjoyed. Some of the people that are doing the really ultra lightweight, there was a guy that came by the other day at a 48-liter pack. Basically, he said all he had in it was his tent, his food, and he was cold cooking, so he was just eating a lot of energy bars. That was his food. And his water and water filter. That's all he had in his pack. And his clothes looked like it, that he hadn't It looks like they hadn't been washed in a long, long time. And it looks like he hadn't. Yeah. Hey, it's his hike. I'm not going to judge him. But I guess I will carry a bigger pack and carry a little more weight so I can have a change of clothes and be able to take showers and do laundry and feel better about myself. So through all this, it's a different journey for me. It's the trail that's the important thing, not necessarily the destination. And Lou L'Amour said that, as a matter of fact. He said, the trail is not the thing. Travel too fast and you miss the whole reason you're on the trail, basically. I'll have to get that quote and share it with you in its entirety. But basically, it's you know, maybe the destination is the path. You know, Katahdin is the end of the trail, but it's maybe not. Maybe that's not the purpose of being on here, is to get to Katahdin. Maybe the purpose is other things. Katahdin just symbols the completion of the journey. And I hope that whatever I'm out here for the trail to teach me, it's teaching me, and I'm learning from it. I know it's bringing my emotions to the surface. I know there's a lot of things I want to do differently, which I'm starting to do now. And I believe I've gotten closer to my Creator and maybe understanding my state of being with Him. All right, time to start climbing, which means time to start huffing and puffing, which means it's time to start using my trekking poles. I hope you enjoyed the story and part of the trail. It's not been bad. It has not been bad this morning. All right, everybody, see you later. Bye. Look how large this tree is. This thing is just a massive, massive tree. I don't even know where the top is. It just goes up and up and up. I don't know how old that is, but that's big. There's a sign here that basically says there's a 4.5 acre plot here they've been studying, and it has enough 120,000 board feet of lumber in this 4.5 acres, enough to build 10 6-room houses. There's a 300-year chestnut oak is the oldest tree studied. A 157-foot white pine is the tallest, and a 40-inch hemlock is the largest. I wonder if that's the hemlock. No. Well, 40-foot inch. That's probably 40 foot all the way around. That might be the hemlock. That thing's huge. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. Alright, it's supposed to be a hornet's nest up here. We're gonna try and not bounce and keep going, keep moving. So far, so good. Well, nothing stung me yet. Here's Gary. Yeah, it starts to bounce if you want to or not. Yeah. Hey, 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 there it is. 800 miles down. Woohoo! Isn't that awesome? All right, let's keep hiking. I got more miles to put under me. Well, this is Brown Creek, and that looks like a good swimming hole. Might be worth a visit in a little bit. All right, basically what this is telling us is for the next 1.4 miles, we're going to see a lot of remains of an abandoned community where freed slaves lived in small communities. And according to this, the homes were small and the people were hardworking. The food was simple, but it was nourishing. And apparently there was an interview with Miss Hughes by the Forest Service, where she talked about making bread on the ashes of the hearth. Hearth. Is it hearth or hearth? Hearth. And anyway, so it reminds me of I had a Navajo secretary and as a squadron commander in Albuquerque, this grandmother, and she'd bring in Navajo bread that was baked in their earthen kilns with they use cedar for the wood to bake their bread, and it was so good. Rub-a-dub-dubbing, old man in the tub. Now this is redneck laundry. Oh, it feels good though. It's definitely cold. Well, everybody, it's the end of the day. We're here at Browns Creek. The shelter's on the other side of the creek there, and you can see there's a bridge right there that leads across up to the shelter. The bugs here are not too bad, but we went ahead and worked up a little bit of a fire for some smoke anyway. You can see that we've got some laundry going there because a bunch of us, well, at least 3 of us guys, we went down and got in the creek and kind of washed up a little bit. More of a just got in and got real cold and got some of this nasty sweat out of our clothes. So didn't get them up in time to. Well, there's no breeze right now really, and the sun's already gone. So how much drying they're going to do overnight, I don't know. So they may be kind of wet and cold to put on in the morning. There's also a chance of rain tonight, so it's one of those, do we take them as they are into our wet tent, or into our tent wet, or do we go ahead and try and play it by ear? I might just play it by ear and hope that I wake up if it starts to rain. But it doesn't feel like it though right now. I mean, it's been a beautiful, beautiful day today. I think that maybe I have found the flat terrain in Virginia. Between yesterday and today, there's enough flat walking up on the ridge lines to definitely be different than North Carolina and Georgia. So, so if people say that, yeah, Virginia's flatter, okay, yeah, it is. I can testify to it now. Yes, it's flatter than North Carolina and Georgia. It's not flat, but it is flatter. You have more stretches of flatness, perhaps, than you do. And today, especially today, the flatness was not plagued with very many roots and very many boulders. So in that sense, it was nice today. So all right, at this point we're gonna just enjoy the fire a little bit, enjoy some fellowship a little bit, and listen to the water and rehydrate and just enjoy it. It's just a beautiful evening. So all right, from Browns Creek. Oh, and by the way, Browns Creek, I think I showed you that placard where this is where freed slaves came to settle and to farm and to make their home. So we should be able to see some more structure. We saw a lot of kind of stone walls along the creek, where obviously the far side of the creek was more is where they probably farmed and wanted to protect their land from flooding. In flash floods, so they built walls along the creek there. So, but as far as homesteads go, we haven't seen any of those yet. So hopefully we get to see those tomorrow. It's a 2-mile walk to the road, where I plan to then hitch the 9 miles to the Budget Inn and stay the night and resupply, and then head out the next day. After we pass the road, and for these folks here that are going to go on. It's a 2,500 foot climb in 3 miles, so it's going to be rough. So I get to do that coming out, which is probably why there's a shelter only 5 miles in. So because that's probably about as much as people can do of that one. So I have a feeling it's going to be a rough one. So, all right, till tomorrow. We'll see you later. Bye.